The cat who waited at the crossroads, asking for a name. The road was quiet that night. Too quiet. Street lamps flickered like they were holding their breath, and the trees leaned over the dirt path as if straining to listen. The crossroads, an old, cracked intersection where four forgotten roads met, had always carried a sense of unease. People said it was cursed, that travelers who lingered there too long heard voices that didn't belong to the living. But no one ever mentioned the cat. It was midnight when Clara first saw it. She had taken the long way home, trying to clear her head after an argument with her boyfriend. Her car had broken down, forcing her to walk the last 3 miles through a route she normally avoided. The night air was heavy, her footsteps muffled in the dust, and then, just as she reached the crossing, she froze. A black cat sat right in the middle of the intersection. Its fur seemed darker than the night itself, swallowing the glow of the weak streetlight overhead. Its tail curled neatly around its paws, and its eyes, two enormous, gleaming orbs, never blinked. They didn't look like animal eyes at all. They looked human. Clara swallowed hard and muttered, half to herself, "Just a cat, just a cat." But when she tried to walk past it, the cat tilted its head. Its mouth opened, not in a meow, but in something that resembled a whisper. A voice, fragile and rasping, leaked out. "Name." Clara froze, her blood turning to ice. She stared at the cat. It stared back. The whisper came again, clearer this time, more insistent. "Name." Her heart hammered so loudly she thought it might drown out the word, but she heard it all the same. The cat wasn't asking for food. It wasn't asking for attention. It was asking for a name. Clara backed away, stumbling, but her feet felt heavy as though the dirt had turned to mud, clinging to her soles. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "This isn't real." The cat's tail flicked. Its voice lowered, stretched like a rope pulled too tight. "Give a name." The shadows around the crossroads seemed to shift, stretching outward from where the cat sat. For a moment, Clara thought she saw figures standing at the edge of the road, tall, unmoving, faceless. They hovered just beyond the reach of the street lamp's glow, as though waiting for her response. Her breath caught. What happens if I don't?" she asked before realizing how insane it was to be talking to it. The cat's eyes glistened with something wet and terrible. "No name, no leaving." The words vibrated in her skull, crawling under her skin. Clara spun around, trying to run, but the road behind her stretched impossibly long, swallowing itself into blackness. The way home was gone. The crossroads was all there was. She turned back, gasping, and the cat had moved closer. It hadn't walked, hadn't run. It was simply nearer. Its shadow stretched unnaturally across the ground, reaching for her like fingers. Name. Her mind raced. Was it asking for her name? Or someone else's? She shook her head, trembling. I don't understand what you want from me." The whisper became a growl. The lamppost above them flickered violently, sparks spitting into the night. And then she heard something else. Something worse than the cat's voice. From the woods around the intersection came a low chorus of whispers. Dozens of voices, overlapping, muttering words she couldn't make out. They were begging, pleading. Some cried, some laughed, and every one of them felt like they were crawling inside her ears, inside her head. She clutched her temples and screamed. "Stop!" The voices quieted instantly. The night fell dead silent again. The only sound was her ragged breathing and the steady, insistent whisper of the cat. "Name." Clara's legs gave out, and she collapsed to her knees. Tears stung her eyes as she stared at the creature. It wasn't just an animal. It was a gatekeeper, something ancient, something that fed on more than flesh. Her thoughts went wild. If it wanted a name, maybe she could give it one that wasn't hers. Maybe that would satisfy it. She thought of her boyfriend, the one she had fought with earlier, the one who had left her stranded. The bitterness swelled in her chest, and before she could stop herself, she whispered his name. "Eric." The cat's ears twitched. Its eyes glowed hotter, brighter, like embers fanned to life. The figures in the shadows leaned forward, just a little, as though tasting the sound. The air thickened, and then, just like that, it was over. The cat blinked. The road behind Clara snapped back into place. The woods retreating, the way home clear again. The voices vanished. The figures dissolved into the dark. The cat turned, slowly, padding back into the center of the crossroads. And it smiled. Not with its mouth, but with its eyes. Clara staggered to her feet and ran. She didn't look back until she was safe inside her apartment, door locked, hands shaking. But as she lay in bed, struggling to sleep, she heard something faint outside her window. A scratching. A whisper. Eric. The next night, Mara told herself she wouldn't go. She even placed her phone face down, turned up the television, and buried herself in the artificial warmth of canned laughter. But at midnight, the scratching at the door returned. Not claws against wood this time, something softer, deliberate, like chalk on slate. Her hands trembled as she opened the door. The cat sat there, exactly as before, black fur slick under the moonlight, its yellow eyes fixed on her. But something had changed. The crossroads behind it stretched wider, darker, as though the asphalt bled into an endless void. The wind carried no sound, no rustle of leaves, no passing car. Only the cat's gaze remained. Mara whispered, almost against her will, "What do you want?" The cat tilted its head, then moved its mouth. Words. Not a meow, not a hiss, but words formed, hollow and inhuman. A name. Her knees nearly buckled. A cat's mouth should not have been able to shape syllables. Yet the sound crawled into her bones. "Whose name?" she asked. The silence stretched, painful, before the cat replied. "Yours." Mara slammed the door shut, her heart pounding so violently she thought it might stop altogether. She didn't sleep. The words echoed in her skull, scratching at her sanity. A name. Yours. The following morning, she stumbled into the library where she worked, pale and shaken. She tried to focus on the mundane, sorting returned books, stamping due dates, but her coworkers noticed her trembling hands. "You okay, Mara?" one asked gently. She nodded too quickly. Just didn't sleep. But as she returned a book to its shelf, her eyes froze on a spine she didn't recognize. It was leather-bound, brittle, and coated in dust. The title etched into it made her blood run cold. The Cat at the Crossroads. The book wasn't listed in the library catalog. The moment she touched it, the air in the room seemed to thicken. She pulled it open. Inside were entries, not stories, not myths, but names. Dozens, maybe hundreds of them, handwritten in faded ink. Some were scratched out. Others looked wet, as if freshly written. Her hand shook as she turned the brittle pages. Near the back, in shaky, unfinished script, was her own name, Mara Ellison, and below it, space for another. Mara slammed the book shut so hard the shelves rattled. A coworker looked up from across the library desk, brows knitting in confusion. "Everything all right?" "Yes," Mara stammered, clutching the book against her chest. Her voice betrayed her. The words felt like splinters in her throat. When she glanced back down, the title on the spine was gone. Where "The Cat at the Crossroads" had been etched, there was now only a blank strip of cracked leather. She pressed her palms against it, flipping it open again. Empty pages. Nothing inside at all. Her pulse hammered in her temples. She shoved the book deep behind a row of encyclopedias, burying it like evidence, and forced herself through the rest of her shift. That night, she swore she wouldn't go near the door. She locked it, bolted the windows, even stuffed a towel under the frame so no draft could seep through. She turned on every light in the apartment and curled on the couch like a child hiding from nightmares. But at midnight, the scratching returned. It wasn't at the door this time. It came from the walls. She pressed her ear to the plaster and heard it. Scritch, scritch, deliberate, circling her living room. The cat's voice slithered through the layers of drywall. "Give me your name." Mara screamed and staggered back, clutching a lamp like a weapon. "Leave me alone." The sound stopped. The apartment sank into suffocating silence. For a moment, she thought she'd frightened it away. But then her phone lit up on the coffee table. A new message appeared on the screen. Unknown number, Mara Ellison. Her blood froze. Another message followed immediately. Unknown number, Crossroads. Midnight, or I come in. Her breath stuttered in and out of her lungs. She wanted to throw the phone, but her hand wouldn't unclench. She couldn't move, couldn't blink, until the clock on the wall ticked past midnight. The phone buzzed again. This time an image. Her street, the crossroads, the cat, sitting patiently, its eyes reflecting gold in the camera's flash. Mara's stomach dropped. Whoever or whatever was sending the messages wasn't outside. They were already inside. Her phone buzzed one final time. Unknown number. The name is almost mine. And then the lights went out. The darkness swallowed everything. Mara's scream tore through the room, but no sound came back. No echo. No proof that the walls still existed around her. The air was heavy, thick, as if the apartment itself had been stripped away. Her phone buzzed again, its glow the only light in the void. The cat's golden eyes reflected in the screen, impossibly close. Crossroads. Now. Her knees buckled. She stumbled toward the door, desperate to escape the suffocating black. But when she turned the handle, she didn't step into her hallway. She stepped into the night air. The crossroads stretched out before her, for roads dissolving into the fog. The cat sat in the center, tail curled neatly around its paws, as though it had been waiting for centuries. Finally, it purred, its voice human yet not, vibrating inside her skull. Mara Ellison, your name is mine. Mara shook her head violently. You can't take it. I didn't give it to you. The cat tilted its head, its smile too wide, too sharp. You read it aloud. That is the offering. Names are the keys. Now, unlock yourself. Her throat tightened, as if invisible claws were pressing against her windpipe. Her name burned in her mind, threatening to spill from her lips like blood from a wound. She clamped her mouth shut, biting hard on her tongue until she tasted iron. The cat's tail lashed once, impatient. Resist if you like. You will only make yourself hollow. All around her, the fog began to shift. Shapes emerged from it, figures standing at the edges of the crossroads. Their eyes glowed faintly, but their faces were blurred, smeared like paint washed in rain. She recognized something about them. The emptiness, the way their mouths opened soundlessly. They had no names. The cat's grin widened. See? They fought too. Now they wander, unremembered. Without a name, you are nothing but shadow. Join them. Mara's heart hammered so hard she thought it might split. She backed away, but the road stretched endlessly in every direction, the crossroads pulling her back like gravity. She whispered, barely audible, "What do you want with me?" The cat's eyes narrowed, catching the starlight like knives. To exist, to wear your skin, to be known. A name gives me form. Yours is enough. It padded closer, each step echoing louder than thunder in the silence. Mara clenched her fists, a single thought cutting through the terror. If it needs my name to live, then maybe I can take something back. But to do that, she would have to speak first. The night after the scream, no one in the town slept. The lamplight burned in windows like fearful eyes, waiting for something, anything, to come. The crossroads lay deserted, but those who dared glance out their windows swore they saw the cat sitting there still. Only now its fur was no longer black. It shimmered with streaks of white, as though it had absorbed pieces of the vanished woman's soul. James, clutching the ancient journal he had found in the church's ruined archives, read the final passage over and over again. The cat of the crossroads waits not for food, nor for love, nor even for death. It waits for the sound of your true name. To speak it aloud is to surrender what binds you to this world. The entry ended with a warning scrawled in desperate, jagged ink. Do not answer when it asks. Do not whisper your name into the dark, for the cat does not give back what it takes. But it was already too late. On the fourth night, the cat came closer to the village. Not one pair of footsteps echoed. Not one door dared creak. Yet somehow the soft pad of paws moved across the cobblestone. The meow that followed wasn't a cat's sound anymore. It was a voice, a woman's voice, the woman who had disappeared. It called from the dark. James, James. His stomach dropped. He knew he should not answer. He pressed both hands against his mouth, choking back the instinct to cry out. But the sound moved closer, dragging itself through the silence, echoing the tone of his late mother's lullabies. His eyes burned with tears. The voice knew his weakness. When dawn came, James was gone. His home stood empty, his belongings scattered as if he had fled in haste. But his neighbors swore they saw him, sitting at the crossroads beside the cat. His eyes were glassy. His lips parted as though whispering something no one else could hear. And then, the next night, a new sound echoed in the village. Not just the woman's voice, not just James's, but dozens. Every missing villager, whispering names into the dark. The cat listened, patient, its tail twitching like the pendulum of a clock that would never stop. It had all the time in the world. So the warning remains. If you walk through an old town and come across a crossroads where a black cat sits waiting, do not stop, do not speak, and above all, never give your name, because the cat is still waiting, and it's waiting for yours.